In the previous episode, we saw the second part of the filmmaking process, production, how the film was shot and how the director worked with the various units. This program looks at post-production, including editing and music, and at how the film is marketed to the audience. The excitement of traveling the world to shoot the film has passed. Work continues in editing rooms, design studios and offices around London. Director Michael Apted may have finished shooting the film, but there's still plenty of work to do. At this stage, he doesn't have a movie, just thousands of different takes.
And cut! All you can know is the scene you're doing, whether that's working, you know where it comes in the film, you direct actors so they know what comes before and comes after, so you give them some sense of continuity and some sense of the development of their character, but you can't know how the whole thing is hanging together.
The film isn't shot in the order of the story, so first the various pieces have to be assembled in the right order. But there are also other choices to be made. Often, a shot has been filmed from a number of angles. Which looks the best? Which works well with the other shots following it?
So what do I have, A, B, C, 4 cameras on this one?
Yeah, 3 I think. There's this angle, and we haven't used that, so...
It's the editor, on this film Jim Clark, who makes many of the decisions in collaboration with the director.
Well, the physical role of the film editor is basically to interpret the material that is given to him by the director. I like to think that what we achieve here is the final draft of the script. Finally, it comes to me and has to be assembled into a coherent story of the right length, with the right rhythm, that finally serves the purpose of everybody.
What other angle have you got on the guy?
Well, we've got another angle on this fella here. Let's see what that is. Every day I get the rushes in, the rushes being the film that they've shot the day before. And I start work, as soon as I have a completed scene, I'll start cutting it. That is useful, so the director can come into the room and look at a scene assembled, rough cut if you like, and he can see immediately whether things are working or not.
Now, we were able to do a lot of that while we were shooting, so we could kind of put scenes into shape as we did them, and I love doing that anyway, because if I've missed things out or I want to do things again, it's easy to do it while you're still shooting. Jim was very quick, and he had a lot of material. He had second unit material, model material, but he was very quick, and I think 3 days after we were shooting, I was looking at a version of the film.
This first version bears little resemblance to the film that we finally see.
The worst moment in the whole life of a film is when you see the first cut of it, and it's a mess. Well, it has to be a mess because it's never been shaped, But however many films you've done, it's always a wrist-slashing moment when you first see it, however much you tell yourself. And then, over these weeks, we've been working to kind of shape the whole thing, to pace it and to strengthen the narrative, all those kind of interesting things. And that's really been the main work of these 7 or 8 weeks we've had since we finished shooting. Do you think we should have Renard's point of view? Do you think we should see what he's firing at?
On the long shot.
Yeah, it's all a bit claustrophobic, isn't it?
With a rough cut finished, Michael and Jim work on the final version of the nuclear test facility scene. What sort of decisions were they making as they edited the sequence together?
Just got to keep the thing moving.
I'll just try putting in a bit of that long shot here. Come in just after the hit there. Yes.
I'm getting this card out.
Right.
That's all right, isn't it?
Now, do we need to have him looking around anymore, Renard, once he's hit?
Just as long as we see him looking.
Cut.
Remember, shadows stay in front or behind, never on top.
Meanwhile, as the film is being edited, composer David Arnold begins to write the music, a vital element in any film, especially Bond.
If you considered for one moment the amount of expectation there is on you as, you know, as a person who's doing the music for the James Bond film, never mind the song, you'd never write a note.
As the release date approaches, David has to start writing, using the sequences cut together by Michael and Jim.
Usually if it's edited well, you get a feeling that it's got a beat to it and it's got a feeling to it and it's got a rhythm to it, and you kind of, you know, for me it's like it's kind of locking into the rhythm to a certain extent, and when you lock into the rhythm, then it suggests where the heaviness lies and the lightness lies. You know, obviously when people are talking, you know, there might be a very significant piece of dialogue and a reaction to it, which immediately makes you go, I have to be there.
This isn't a social call. Head for the gully. I'll lead them into the trees. Go, go.
Every Bond film has one piece of music in common, which inspired David's work on The World Is Not Enough.
I approach these things as a fan, you know. I mean, like I've watched Bond movies like forever, and when I'm scoring it, I kind of like think, what do I want to hear here? You know, when I see him doing something typically James Bondish, there's really only one thing I want to hear. There's like 4 different elements. You've got the dee da 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 part, which is, you know, which you can play fast or slow, which can be very moody and very dark and very forbidding, or it can be quite jaunty and happy if you play it fast. You've got like the guitar melody, dun da da dun down, da 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 dun da 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 da, which again, you know, if you play that on flutes when he's walking out of someone's bedroom somewhere, it's quite cheeky, you know. Another way, if you play it with the guitar the way it was originally, it's quite like action oriented. And the, you know, the bit da 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 na na na, like big swing thing, only usually ever use that when he's doing something outrageous. You know, when he's being James Bond, you get that, and then everyone goes, ooh, you know. And then you got that little phrase at the end, da 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 da, which you usually play when something's finished.
¡Abran la puerta! ¡Policía! ¡El piso de arriba! ¡Abran la puerta! ¡Policía! ¡Policía, abran la puerta!
Four elements, incredibly useful, you know, and use them in all sorts of different things. That's, you know, it's the big safety net you got on a Bond movie. If you're ever stuck for an idea, James Bond theme somewhere will work, you know, in some form or another. All you have to do is dee da da da, you know, and you're kind of covered. It reminds you that you've had a lifetime of experience of this thing, and you're bringing all that to it as well. You know, that's the same guy who blew up a volcano and you only live twice. You know, that's the same guy that nearly got burnt to bits by Goldfinger. Yeah, that's the same guy that beat Oddjob. You know, it's the same bloke.
Bond. James Bond.
The film is taking shape, but it's no good making the best film you can if no one knows about it. Although Bond is an internationally known brand, established for nearly 40 years, each film still needs to be marketed or sold to the audience.
The selling of the film is, you know, is a huge part of it. I mean, the marketplace is crowded. There's so many films, and you want to draw attention to your film, and the only way you can do that is to get out there and sell it.
It's the job of the marketing team at the film's distribution company, UIP, to create awareness of the film amongst the public. This job starts as the film is being shot, 6 months ahead of release.
We started, I would guess, somewhere around summer of '98, which is like 18 months before the film opens.
The target audience are the people that the film company thinks are most likely to go and see the film. So the marketing campaign aims to make this group aware that the film is out there.
We don't think that we're targeting a small minority group here. It is a big majority group of the country that like Bond films.
Promotions form part of the marketing campaign. They're usually tied in with the products of other companies and help to raise the profile of the film in different markets. John Parkinson works for Eon, the Bond production company. He organizes partnerships with other companies, or third parties.
Companies want to be involved with Bond because of A, that the character that he actually is. He's upmarket, he's sophisticated, he knows what to do in every situation. He is the person that the male populace want to aspire to.
One rises to meet a challenge.
Coupled with that, you also have what is a great international film franchise.
Partners on The World Is Not Enough include Omega and BMW. Bond escapes from the helicopters in the caviar factory in his BMW. And he uses an Omega watch to save Christmas and himself in the nuclear test facility. These specially adapted items not only help Bond out of a scrape, they also help the film and the product too. Omega produced a cinema advertisement for the Seamaster watch, featuring scenes from The World Is Not Enough, further raising awareness of the film.
The areas that they want to market, we want to market as well with our film. So that is the real interest as far as they're concerned. We have an international film, they have an international product.
As I was saying, the very latest in intercepts and countermeasures. Titanium armor, a multitasking heads-up display, and 6 beverage cup holders. All in all, rather stocked.
What companies have reported back to us is that the sales have increased significantly as a result of being in a Bond film.
Another element of the marketing campaign is advertising, mainly posters and cinema trailers. Firstly, there is the teaser campaign, which begins 6 months ahead of release. Robin Bailing's company designed the poster campaign for The World Is Not Enough, beginning with the teaser campaign to create early awareness.
You can see the silhouette of the woman. You can also see the typical trademark of James Bond holding his gun up in a typical Bond pose, and the two work very well together. We actually don't have to say who's in it, we don't have to set the plot, and we can create anything at all in the world that we so desire.
The teaser trailer plays in cinemas months before the film opens. David Willing's company produced the campaign.
Trailers are the most important part of the campaign from the point of view that they're the first time the general public actually get to see the physical film on screen. They're not looking at it on a television, or they're not looking at a still image like a poster. They're actually seeing the feature film in all its glory, edited into some different format, but there it is, straight in front of them, big surround sound, has a major, major effect and influence on their decision whether or not to see the film.
Some men want to rule the world. Some women ask for the world. Some believe the world is theirs for the taking. But for one man, the world is not enough.
There's there's been a lot in the press over the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, that there will be another James Bond film. But to get across the fact that this is now The World Is Not Enough, it's the new title, it's the new Bond adventure, it really gives very little away about what the actual film is about, other than it's his new adventure, it's his next outing. Title has to be predominantly displayed, and really it's a call to arms telling the public that within the next few months you will be seeing a new James Bond film.
For 6 months now, the teaser campaign has put the word out about the film. Awareness is growing. The main or regular advertising campaign must now sustain and build on the momentum created by the teaser campaign as the release date approaches. The main poster campaign extends the basic theme of the teaser poster.
What we decided to do was to try and create something far more dynamic than previous Bond pictures. So in this way we created this spiral effect of the ellipse of the Earth, putting in the land masses, which we then decided to set alight and burn, because the whole contents of the film revolves around oil. And then using the grid formation within the spiral, we can actually place stills of the movie. So you have a nice framework that works as a template to capture moving images, but hold them in a static 2D form. That image has to say everything about the film, and it has to capture it in a 2-second read. Now that's an incredibly difficult thing to do, because you can imagine you've got 2 hours of the most exciting medium in the world, and you have to capture that in a static form.
As with the main poster campaign, the main or regular trailer has more scope than the teaser trailer.
The client wanted to position this as the new big budget action movie.
This is an emergency situation.
Which is a James Bond film.
The world's most wanted terrorist has a new target.
We go off into a certain direction to begin our trailer, in that we set up more of the fact that it's action, adventure, and then reveal it's a new James Bond film.
So who in the world can stop him?
Certain key sequences of the movie need to go in there to show massive production value. You need the cast, the ensemble that surrounds Bond in this case. You have a certain amount of female interest in James Bond, as Pierce himself from a female point of view, and the males going for the stars, in this case Denise Richards and Sophie Marceau.
I thought it was your job to protect me.
First things first.
Something less easily controlled is publicity. Bond films are event movies. Everyone wants information about the film well in advance of the release. Whilst the film company can control access to clips of the film, to the actors, to the director, they can't control what people write about them.
They all want something on Bond. They want something fresh on Bond. Sometimes we can give them what they need or help them to achieve the interview. Sometimes we can't. We try to do it in as civilized a way as possible so that they're still our friends for the next film.
The script has charm and it has wit.
The demand for interviews with the talent in The World Is Not Enough is so enormous that the film company needs to organize something called a press junket.
Preparing for a junket is a bit like preparing for a battle.
The week before the premiere, UIP takes over a suite at Claridge's Hotel in London for the press junket for The World Is Not Enough, turning bedrooms into TV studios and press rooms. Cables are everywhere, and the pressure is intense.
Give us a hug.
Oh, God, I'm very well.
I'm holding up.
Yes,
under the tremendous strain of all this.
Oh, dear.
It's a bit hard,
it's
isn't it?
just repetition.
You know, I sit in this room here and they feed journalists into me, and they all have like 5 or 6 minutes, and they sit there and they count them out and do that one. How many of them are TVs and how many are radio?
There are 8 interviews altogether, and 2 of them are radio.
I can't remember what I just said. Or did I just say this to this person? Do they think I've lost my brain? Well, you do lose a bit of your brain doing this, because, you know, how many questions are there? So you get asked the same questions all the time, but, you know, people are doing their job. And they're showing interest in the film, and so you really have to grit your teeth and do it.
All right, then, well, let's go and...
Anthony Phillipson was at the junket. He works for one of the UK's top-rated film programmes.
This is just a massive event. and everyone wants a bit of it. You know, that's why you have people flying from South America and from Asia and all that.
Lots of action, lots of bells and whistles.
The talent of The World Is Not Enough are on a treadmill of interviews as the journalists move from one room to another to gain their exclusive pieces. With only a week to go before the UK release, these interviews are crucial for raising the profile of the film.
The fact that it is so close to release, I think, is because of premiere is soon. So they're all going to be going to the film premiere. So it just all ties in together.
Have a little martini along the way.
One thing that will raise the profile of a film is a star-studded premiere just before the opening.
I think the premiere is an important event because it's the centre point of the activity, especially the London one. We try and make it as big an event as possible to get media coverage and to have a good time.
The World Is Not Enough had its UK charity premiere at the Odeon Cinema in London's Leicester Square on November the 22nd, 1999.
All the girls will be there, Sophie and Denise and Maria. Carlisle and Judi Dench and Coltrane, so that'll be fun. So there's a kind of, you know, bonding, excuse the pun, all of us together.
The world's media grab last-minute interviews with the stars as they arrive, which are then sent back to press rooms around the globe. The film company knows that this is a perfect way of guaranteeing that the press will run pictures of the event in the following day's papers.
It's hard work, but it's part of the job now. I mean, part of a director's job is to be privy and part of the selling of it, whether it's helping cut the trailer, looking at the print advertising, talking to the press, going to premieres. That's a huge part of the director's job. But, you know, I felt, well, this is what I've signed on to do, so I better grow up and deal with it.
The World Is Not Enough opened in the UK on November the 26th, 1999.
There's a huge audience out there. There's a huge expectation for it, which is fun, but it's also scary as hell because is there going to be a backlash against it? You know, are people are going to be disappointed by it? Whatever, you know, am I going to make the least successful Bond film ever?
The opening weekend's box office take in the US was $37 million. This compares with an opening weekend of $25 million for the previous film, Tomorrow Never Dies. So that's all there is to it. To make a blockbuster, you need a script, a director, fantastic sets, great actors, dramatic locations, exciting stunts, thrilling music, and a marketing campaign planned with military precision. And of course, an audience. But already, top-secret plans are being formed for Bond 20.